How was your week?
Uh, Good and also kind of but mostly good.
So are you up, down, or sideways for the week?
I'm
Would you
down
say?
for the week.
By how much?
I
Yeah.
invested 1,000, and now I'm at 980 around.
Yeah, so 20 bucks down. Yeah, I'm sorry. That was really hard. So like you invested some money in Tesla, right?
I almost made it back, honestly, on a number of
I panicked.
occasions.
You know how I said not to panic? I panicked. I came in your room. I came in his room at like 5:45 or 6:30 in the morning and I said, "Oh, we have to sell everything."
You walked in. I imagine waking up
He
and
usually
hearing
sleeps till noon.
your mom say, "Oh no, the stock market's down."
It was like down 7% when I came in,
I
right?
had just invested for the first time in ages, and then it was going up.
He made
And
all
it
this
was going
money the
good.
first day.
I made a ton. I made a pretty huge percentage on my first day, and then the next morning it was all gone. Because I wanted to sell, and you were like, "No, aren't you gonna do a long term hold? I thought you were doing long term investing." And I was like, "Okay, I guess I'll hold."
Oh,
And
yeah,
then it
I
didn't
shoulda
turn
I
out.
have to stay out of it. So here's the thing, when I give advice to people, then I'm on the line. It screws me up because I start panicking because 'cause I'm responsible for someone else's money. So I think the next week that we do this, if you're up for still doing more buying and selling.
I'm gonna keep investing. I'm
So
just
I'm
saying.
gonna stay
In
out of
fact,
it now.
I almost made more money if I had actually trusted my instincts. Because I thought just last night, I thought, you know what, I should buy the short version of it, and then I almost did that. And the reason I didn't was because it was 1 in the night, and wasn't sure if that would count as a day trade because I was technically
Oh,
trading on
yeah.
the same day.
Okay, so we have to talk
that
about day
that was
trader limits. Pattern day trader designation is one of the how-to things.
well.
Um,
Let's talk about what happened
so
first of all.
first, yeah, let's
Let's
first
talk
talk about
about
current events.
so stock market was going down, and then it hit a point after 3 days, and it started to go up, and it went up for like 3 days, and then it started to go down.
So do you remember when I said last week how I had seen this pattern before where it comes down, it does this little thing, and then if it heads below that, it's gonna fall like a rock, and I
Yeah,
was concerned, and I was like, "I don't wanna be a part of that." That's what
yeah,
I said last week. So that happened kinda. It might continue to happen. I'm pretty sure it's gonna continue to happen.
yeah.
So when I saw the market was down in the morning the other day, and I came in your room to tell you I think you should sell, I knew that I my prediction had been right, but of course there's like 2 me. There's the one that predicts this stuff and then there's the trader that like, "Oh, it's not gonna happen. Look, it's stock market's up," and I get suckered in. So I actually made a bad trade. So I go in his room and he says, "Are you sure the market's going down?" And I felt really put on the spot,
Did
but
I
I
say
was
that?
sure. Yeah, but then I
Okay.
was sure. So I like
Well, I
posted.
said that because I wanted to buy short.
Yeah, so he bought short, and then I thought, "He's right, I'm sure the market's gonna go down." So you bought something called the SQQQ,
SQQQ.
which is the reverse.
It's literally
It's
just
the
the
un-NASDAQ.
TQQQ, but inverted.
So every time the NASDAQ goes down, the SQQQ goes up. So I didn't buy that. I bought a put option on the TQQQ because it has more volume.
Mhm.
Then in options, the SQQQ doesn't get as much action. So I thought it would be safer for me to buy a put, which is a bet against the TQQQ.
Well, isn't it the same number either
Yeah.
way?
So then during that day, it started to climb a little and we both chickened out and sold, right? But you sold at the perfect time. Your instincts were perfect. I just freaked out.
Mm.
So the put I had would have made 40% to the end of today, which is really good. But I chickened out
Right.
because I was afraid. Too
Right.
much pressure. Because I was thinking of my responsibility to others. And also, I rarely go against the stock market. I'm not that good at that because I freak out. So that happened.
Other news,
Yeah, I
their
have other.
Oculus released a new VR headset. Have you heard of
Oh,
this?
yes. Michael started talking about this. Is it Facebook?
Yeah, Facebook owns Oculus. They released a new VR headset. It's called the Quest 2. It's its own standalone thing. It's like a console. It's like the Nintendo Switch, but it's a VR headset. So you put it on, you don't need to put up any motion trackers, you don't need to connect it to a computer even because it is the computer, and it's just a VR headset you can put on and play VR games with. They sold out the 256 gigabyte models.
So was Facebook up today?
Yeah, these are our their pre-orders. They sold out and then it
Is
wasn't
that in one day?
256 consoles. It's the consoles that have 256 gigabyte bits bytes of
Yeah,
storage.
yeah. At first I was like, so was this was Thursday?
I don't. I think it was a few days ago. I'm not 100% sure when it started,
Maybe,
but
maybe
they've been
I
going
don't
down with
know.
everyone because everyone's
Yeah.
been going down lately.
Yeah. So do you want to know why the stock market's going down? Okay, this is the weird thing. You can look at charts and you can see when it's time for a chart to turn downward, and it almost like predicts the future. It's almost magical. It's like you hit something and there'll be something in the news to explain it, but it's almost like you don't even it's like seriously, it's like predicting the future. So what's happening is this crazy heyday of stocks has led to this where a bunch of companies are doing IPOs. An IPO is an initial public offering, and this is where they're selling the people who originally invested in the company before it was on the stock market are basically selling to get out. And the people on the stock market who always wanted to own some Zoom or who always wanted to own some Uber, they're all like piling in to buy it, and they're basically paying a ridiculous amount. And the people who were original investors get all this money and they're like, "Yeah, I'm out of here." So there's this one called Snowflake that came out Thursday, and I posted about it on my Call Girls Club. I called it the cocaine of stocks because they figured out they were going to open it. I think it was 146 or something like that, $146 a share or something. Maybe it was 126. And in the first day, the stock bid up to 250. It like doubled. It was 100% profit in the same day, which it's like really not worth that. People went nuts, and so I said to my group, I'm sure it's going to go down in the next 3 days. But the problem with an IPO is you can't bet against it with options. In the first, it takes like 3 days before it clears this waiting period.
Right.
So you
So
can't buy puts. I would have loved to buy puts against Snowflake.
as a company, what is Snowflake? Like, what do they
It's
do?
like cloud computing and internet, something to do with internet. I'm
I
sorry, I
see.
don't know. But I just know it was ridiculous how much it went up.
Well, I will look into that then when I get the chance for next week.
What are you thinking, like, shorting it?
No, I just want to know what it is.
Oh, yeah. You know how I told you about SoftBank and I was gonna look into that? So Sunday night, I'm looking into SoftBank, and they decided SoftBank had made all these bets and on options, and everyone was, like, driving the stock down saying, "Oh, this is so worthless. This guy just lost all this money." So I was gonna look into it thinking it wasn't merited. Well, it was call options he bought, so he did lose a lot of money, but the the stock went up 7% overnight because, I guess they decided to sell some very valuable part of their holdings, which is called ARM, which is also computer related, cloud related stuff, and, their stock shot way up, so I missed that chance, but, um but I think it's also a mistake. I think it's also a mistake because I think the reason they sold this ARM is because they need money because they lost money on their calls, so they're gonna get some cash, but I'm thinking that, uh, they shouldn't have shot up, they should be down,
Yeah.
but I can't really bet on it because the whole market's down, and
Yeah,
I'm just
everything's
staying out.
everything's kind of sketchy right now. This entire week it's just been like,
It's gonna be like this again next week.
oh
Tuesday
gosh.
might be good because Nike's reporting their earnings, and Nike'll do really well. KB Home will probably do really well on Tuesday. Costco reports on Thursday. But
Mm.
the thing with Costco is even though they're gonna do really well, their stock usually drops because everybody expects them to do really well, and they've put it in the stock already, but there's all these IPOs coming out. So here's the problem with IPOs. when Snowflake came out with their initial public offering of stock, all the guys on Wall Street were like, "Oh, we have to own this. We have to own this." And they piled in, right? So this is like a risky big gamble kind of stock. So they're like, now they have to pay for it for the 3 days after they bought it. They have 3 days to pay for it. So they're going to sell their Tesla stock, right? Because that's a risky, oh, we made so much money on Tesla. Let's sell that and put that money in this, which is
Yeah.
why Tesla went down. It went down the day after the Snowflake IPO. And the thing is, they have 3 days to pay. So I was telling everybody, I think Tesla's going to go down for 3 days. And now there was another IPO today, and there's more coming up next week. And basically, it's greed. The stock market got up so high that all these companies thought, oh, this is a perfect time to raise money. So let's do an IPO. So they're all like piling in, doing these IPOs. And those crazy guys on Wall Street are like, oh, I have to own this. I have to own that. And they're taking their money out of the established NASDAQ stocks that make up the TQQQ. They're taking the money out of there to pay for these things. And they're paying ridiculous prices. And they're going nuts. I mean,
So
they should hold back and say, 100% above already ridiculous price is a little too ridiculous,
So
But
what
they're
you're saying,
not. They're going nuts, and they're piling in. They gotta have it.
I better buy some SQQQ right now, man,
I know I'm kind of feeling that way.
because this is
I'm scared to bet against the market. Every time I've ever done it, I've failed. But
that's a good point.
this is how I see it. And on my chart last week, I remember I said it hit this level and then it went down for like 21 days. It kind of makes sense that it would go down for another 3 weeks. But it's hard to just sit here and do nothing. But pretty much I suck at trading except for when it's going up. So I think I should just sit it out.
I think that's a good idea. Maybe I'll try experimenting with it.
Yeah. And maybe I
you'll
won't
be
talk
good.
to
Maybe
you.
you'll be good at trading when it's going up, and I'll be good at trading when it's going
You
down.
should get in my Facebook club and read my posts because like everything I posted is to everybody that I can handle. But talking face to face with you about the stock market, it freaks me out. Like when you say, "Are you sure?" I'm like freaked out. Can't handle it. and then I make dumb decisions because I'm freaked out. I just
Yeah.
like in the past I've had people ask me for advice, and I've always like it's screwed me up.
Well, I don't really care too much. I just want to make money and see if I can make money. So,
I think your instincts are really good.
really, I've been
Even though
told
you're
that
not
about
reading the
computers and computer programming as well.
you're not reading the news, but you are reading something. What are you reading?
I'm reading you.
Like my mood? I'm depressed.
I'm reading. I'm reading my occasional glimpses into your psyche that I get from every time you talk about the stock market,
Yeah, but I
and I
don't think I
just
should.
go off of that and my general
Yeah,
feelings.
it's like I told you it's going to go down, and then you based your decision making on it. Meanwhile, I was like, oh, maybe it's going up. Maybe I'm wrong. This is the psychological part. I usually get in on the third section of our podcast, but I don't believe in myself. It's like I'll predict something and then I'll just like a little bit freak out and like not believe it.
Yeah,
But then people ask me on Facebook and stuff, and you ask me, "Are you sure?" And when I thought about it, I realized I'm really sure. So I put this thing on Facebook to my friends, and even Jim Cramer was saying, "Oh," on Thursday, he was like, "Oh, maybe it's time to start buying a few things, put that cash to work." And I completely was on the other side of the fence, which I never disagree with him, but I was like, "No, the chart is telling me the chart that I made with the 700 trading days in it of the NASDAQ, which I've only studied the NAS. I'm trying to like specialize. And I feel like everybody should come up with their thing that they're good at and study that. But so I told everybody, Jim Cramer disagrees with me, but I think it's gonna go down. I'm really sure.
I think that's good that you're really sure about something. And I think it means that we can predict stuff. So I'm definitely going to buy some SQQQ now.
Oh no. Okay, so I'm gonna stay out. I'm not gonna.
You're staying out of it.
It's
And
your
I
thing.
agree with I stand by that decision. I think it's a good decision. Even though you're 100% sure, I can completely
You-
understand you wanting to stay out of it. Even though you're 100% sure that you can
I'm
predict
never
where it's
100%.
going.
Never 100.
You said 100 a
97%.
second ago.
That's my
Okay.
max.
97%.
Um, pol politics.
No, we're not talking about
Well, here's the
politics.
problem. There's 2 things I should say about politics. One is they interviewed to get your energy level drop. Well, I got mad and
Okay,
I
let's
made a
talk about
I got really
politics.
mad and I posted a political post.
Oh boy.
And the reason is because they had an interview with Nancy Pelosi, who's the head of the Democratic House of Representatives. They had an interview with her on CNBC. And this happened they had an interview with her like 3 months ago or 2 months ago or whenever the you know how they're trying to support people who have been impacted by COVID, and they had a previous bill and then it ran out and they interviewed Nancy Pelosi and they asked her, "Can you commit to being flexible and making a deal?" And she just kept changing the subject and saying, "November, we'll probably get it done after November." And it's like Jim Cramer got so frustrated with her, Michael, this last interview, he blurted out, "Crazy Nancy." He used Trump's he says he tried to backtrack and, like, say he's trying to be facetious and say, "Hey, some people would call you Crazy Nancy," but the way it came out right after she just kept changing the subject and it was really clear that she didn't wanna make a compromise between now and the election, which there's people starving, there's businesses dying, and it kinda pissed me off. But, so that was my political opinion. Uh,
Again, problem with talking politics on this podcast is I avoid all that.
yeah, it does make
So
sense,
I
but
don't have a good frame of reference here.
well, I did ask you last week, do you think one or the other of the presidents would be good for the stock market? And it's pretty much agreed everywhere, including in the Biden campaign and the Trump campaign, that Biden would be bad for the stock market and Trump would be good for the stock market because Biden says, "We're not here for the stock market, we're here for the economy." And he wants to raise something called capital gains tax. And he
Right.
has like this plan that includes the biggest capital gains tax raise of all time, which taxes the individuals that are rich that are investing in the stock market.
And the real question, I think, and
Well,
the
I wanna
real
make a point about this, so don't change the subject.
I'm not changing the subject. I'm going into exactly what you're about to talk about because I'm saying the real thing that I think comes up in all of these debates that I think is really what is separating uh, the one side of politics from the other side of politics is the question of whether or not the stock market is actually representative of the well-being of the country, of the economics of the country.
Well, here's the problem. Did you know that 1/4 of the stock market is made up of individuals who are rich, and 3/4 of the stock market is made up of regular people's IRAs, retirement funds, pension plans when they get old? This is their money.
Right.
So, historically, when you raise capital gains taxes, the stock market nosedives, crashes. And Biden's recommendation is to raise them the highest that they've ever been the biggest raise in capital gains tax that's ever been done, like record-breaking historic change. And
Right.
so it's pretty obvious to everyone that the stock market will crash when he does if he gets in and imposes the taxes on capital gains.
Right.
But the people and everyone's like, "Oh, this would be great for the economy," but they're looking at it in a vacuum. They're not seeing the whole picture, which is the people who are gonna get hurt are, like, everybody's mom and dad who have their IRA and their retirement fund. So, I feel like it's important to see, like, the bigger picture and what that could do to the economy and to those people.
I
It's not
agree.
it's mostly little guys in the stock market now, I think, and not just these big rich people.
And I think that with a lot of tools like Acorn and Robinhood that are coming out now,
It's
all
even more people like that,
yeah,
right?
even more people are getting invested. I think the problem is that there is such a huge view that the stock market is where the rich go to get richer. And I just think that There is some truth to that, but I don't think it's wholly true. Anything that affects the stock market is also going to be affecting other things than just the stock market. The reason why the stock market changes is not because of some magical thing, it's because of what the underlying parts of the stock market are based on.
The stock market is all the big companies that can afford to have stock issued in their company, and all those little companies on Main Street, like, restaurants, hair salons, uh, gyms, all those people are not in the stock market. So the reason the stock market has been going up like crazy is basically because of all these delays in Washington making all these places basically go bankrupt, and people are spending money at the big corporations like Amazon while these little guys are suffering. And I'm not for the stock market going up economically. I feel like, I mean, not at this level. I feel
Not as
like they
so.
need to help those people.
Yeah,
And in the long run, it's going to hurt the stock market because those people won't have any money to spend at Amazon and Tesla and all those places. So I don't
yeah,
know. So I feel like politics is important. I'm sorry if I offended anybody, but it's you have to look at the whole picture. If you're going to invest, you have to be based in reality. You can't be fooling yourself thinking that, stock market's in a vacuum, or that one little change where you raise taxes is going to make the government rich when it's going to actually depress other things. You have to look at the whole picture, and I feel like frustrated. So I did post about politics on my page, and I finally took a stand. I'm not independent anymore. I actually was like, "I'm so mad."
right.
Anyway, so that's the news. I told you what an IPO is.
Okay.
What's an IPO? Initial public offering? Do you
Yeah,
remember what that is? It's the
it's when
stock.
companies are first going,
Yeah.
"I'm gonna be on the stock market,"
Yeah, I remember when Tesla did that, and
and
everyone was
oh
crazy. They're like,
boy.
"We have to buy this." Okay, so, buying puts versus buying the SQQQ we talked about.
Well, I don't know if we got too in detail there.
Well, when I'm buying options, I have
So,
to look at how much is traded. I can't buy something that nobody's trading because 'cause I'll be hurt when I go to sell it and nobody buys it.
I have a question. What's the difference between buying a put on the TQQQ and buying a call on the SQQQ?
So it should go in the same direction, the same amount. It should. But all stocks are based on supply and demand. So if everybody's trading the TQQQ and nobody wants to buy the SQQQ, it might be hard to unload it.
Right.
But if you're buying just outright shares and not options, you probably won't have a problem. It's just options, there's fewer people trading them, I think.
Right.
One thing you can do is look up SQQQ and look up TQQQ and look at the word volume on the little display where it says the high, the low, the open, the close, and the volume. And that's what made my mind up for me is the volume was like a fifth of what the other one was or something.
That makes sense.
So I've had problems in the past when I had a lot of money I was trading that if I'd buy something, my actual purchase would push the price up.
Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense because when I was trading the SQQQ, I noticed that my trades were taking a while to actually go through. Like it would go through partially and then it would go through the rest of the way. And it's like it's not as high volume as the TQQQ.
Did you put a limit to your price that you wanted?
I think so. I'm not sure.
Or did you say market, or that
I
makes a
just said
difference?
order, I think.
So that's weird that it took a while to go through. Maybe they just didn't notify you. Because if you say market order, it could be Robinhood has inferior trading guys.
I think Robinhood absolutely has inferior trading guys. I think um
So it's harder to
it's
buy and sell
it's good
stuff.
because it has a 0% commission and it has like a very easy to use user interface. But I do think that if you want to get serious about trading, probably go with Schwab.
Okay, I got a point. Schwab's trading is also free. I mean, it might not be free. It might be $2 or something.
Right.
It's negligible. Because everybody's been competing. It used to be Schwab was $25 a trade. Now it's like They're trying to compete for all the little guys. They even have something called, stock slices, where they're trying to sell incremental parts, like, if Tesla was trading for 1,000, they'd give you, like, 1/5 of a share if you didn't have
So
$1,000.
basically, they're trying to be like Robin
They're
Hood,
trying to get you guys.
which means they're probably better now. But how does their user interface look? Is the question I
I think they
have.
try to change the way it looks to evolve, but that makes me mad. I get pissed off that it's changing because 'cause I'm like, "Where is the button?" You know? I'm in a hurry. So, it's kinda catch-22 for them, I think. Psychology, first do no harm. It's my role. Did you ever hear that about doctors? They say, "First do no harm." If you don't know
Yeah,
what you're doing, don't cut the arm off, you know?
yeah,
If you're not sure, just stay back. So you don't wanna do harm to your basic money that you have. You don't wanna lose that. So you try not to gamble with it.
right.
You try to only make bets that you're sure of, which I violated this week when I chased after Tesla. First, I thought, "I'll be smart, I'll buy NVIDIA instead of Tesla because NVIDIA supplies Tesla." But actually, I think Tesla's getting away from that. And all of a sudden, Tesla shoots up and NVIDIA kind of peters down, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm in the wrong thing." So then I got in Tesla when they were high, and then I made a profit the next day, but I didn't take it. I wanted to stay in, I got greedy.
Okay.
So, so many mistakes that are repeated over and over again by many people.
Well,
But my
that's the
basic
thing.
mistake is I figured out this method of trading and I didn't stick to it. I got excited because you were talking about buying Tesla and it got me excited. And I'm like, oh, I need to do that too. Wow, I could make so much more than Michael if I bought it because I have more to invest. Yeah, I could lose so much more than Michael because I have so much more to lose.
I've noticed a weird thing I have involving psychology where every single time I look at the stock market, I want to make a trade. When I open up the app, I go, okay, if I don't do something, then I'll have opened up this app for no reason. Even though,
That's not why I do it. I do it like it's my video game. If I'm not in it, I'm not making money. So, oh, so you know how I said the stock market is gonna go down for 21 days? So
right.
I look on Friday and I'm like, "Well, maybe I can make a little money between here and there when it goes up a little," you know? And then I didn't get out in time and I was like, "Ugh, why did I get in?" It's easier to make money when it's going up in general.
Yeah.
I have to have discipline to just stay out when it's going down.
Yeah.
Actually, they have a word for it when it's, declining a lot and people try to call the bottom. And then that's not the bottom and it gets lower and then they're like, "Oh, this must be the bottom," and then it goes lower, you know? They call that trying to catch a falling knife. So, I'm thinking I'm gonna wait until there's confirmation that that is over, and, September's supposed to be a down month, so it could be 3 more weeks just because of that.
Yeah. What was the term? The IP something?
IPOs.
IPOs? That's what I thought it was. Once those stop happening and you give
Yeah,
it a second, I
yeah.
think that's when you will be able to be like, okay,
You know what's
now
really
things are
funny?
stabilizing.
Okay, how do you come up with this stuff? Because that's exactly what Jim Cramer said. He said, "I expect the stock market to keep going down as long as the IPOs keep happening." Picked it up from me.
Yeah.
Maybe he picked it up from
It's
me.
obvious from what you're saying that you go, okay, the stock market's going down because of these IPOs. And I'm like, okay, as soon as the IPOs stop happening,
So
then
are
you
you
give it 3 days to clear and then they go up.
so how are you gonna find out when the IPOs stop happening?
You have to look at the news, I
Yeah,
guess.
or listen to me. So do you wanna get you know what I recommend? I recommend you either get Sirius Radio and listen to CNBC, or we could bite the bullet and get a television service. We don't even have a television service anymore. We don't need it. But CNBC, CNBC,
CNBC.
or search their website and watch their videos, but it's not on time when it's happening usually. I don't think you can watch live unless you have a TV carrier.
Right.
That's why I listen to Sirius Radio all the time to hear live what's happening on CNBC minute by minute.
Right.
Oh, and just so you know, if you have Sirius Radio and you're listening on the radio, it's delayed by like maybe a minute, 2 minutes. I've noticed. I'll be like, "Oh, the stock market's going up. What's happening?" And I'll listen to the radio and like nothing's happening. And then 2 minutes later, they'll say, "Ah, these numbers just came in."
Yeah. Okay.
So it's a little frustrating that way, but it kind of doesn't matter for my pattern of trading because I'm basically looking at the chart to make my decisions more than listening to the news.
Fair enough.
Well, what are your plans for this week?
For this week, I'm going to buy SQQQ and trade entirely on that.
Wow. Okay. See you next week.
See you next week. Bye, everyone. Thanks for listening to our podcast.